Welcome to Liberty County, Florida, the least populated county in the entire state of Florida. It's actually very close competition there with Lafayette County. Lafayette's just a little bit east of here, a couple counties over, and just maybe 100 or a couple hundred more people than here in Liberty. And with nearly 8,000 people, it's still much larger than some of the small counties in other states I've been to, like Kansas and Texas and places like that. But for Florida, it's not very populated. It's more spread out through the county, it appears. We're gonna find out as we go, but the county seat, which is the only town that is incorporated, has around 1,000 people, and so that's somewhere in the 10 to 20% range of the total county population. Liberty County was created in 1855. That was about 10 years after Florida became a state, and it has communities that were here well before both the state and the county were formed. So a lot of history here that I'm excited to explore around and learn. It was a kind of a complicated area during times like the Civil War, and there are rivers and swamps and things like that here, so it became a place that was a good place to kind of hide out for people who were deserting the Confederate side. A lot of the county is covered by the Apalachicola National Forest, so I'm assuming we'll be driving through much of that today. And we're starting over here on the eastern side, and the Ochlockonee River. We just crossed over the bridge there, and that marks the eastern edge of the county. It's not a square county. It's got some different borders based on the rivers that create the borders around it. So we'll explore here around the kind of eastern and southeastern part of the county first, and then just kind of wander our way around the rest of the county. Just north of Hosford is Lowry. There's a sign that actually says this is Lowry, and I don't know if this used to be a town or just a railroad stop. There's supposed to be a cemetery if you keep going down this road called the Kent Cemetery, but the road basically was blocked off, so running into like private property quite a bit so far in the early parts of this trip, but this is what Lowry used to be. Hosford is what it looks like to me the second largest community in Liberty County. It's unincorporated, but there's definitely a community here, and was once a thriving town. It started in 1859. It was actually called Coe's Mill after a family that was from here, and a member of the Coe family, a woman, married a guy with the last name of Hosford, who he worked in the Florida Senate, and he convinced the railroad to come through Liberty County. And we saw the railroad, that part doesn't come through here anymore, obviously, but because he was so significant in helping the county kind of get going with the railroad, that they eventually changed the name to Hosford in the early 1900s. And it was like I said, a thriving little community. They had a big sawmill here that when it closed in the 1920s, it hurt the population quite a bit. Driving around, there's a mixture of some old buildings and newer houses. This place called Chester Street, I read online, was maybe kind of a hub of activities at one point. It's pretty quiet now. A couple old buildings, and I'm right here sitting in the kind of parking lot of a abandoned gas station. But yeah, so Hosford, starting out the day kind of in one of the more populated areas of Liberty County, and we'll see where we go from here. Next up is Telogia, and even though it doesn't look like much now, it used to be a really important part of Liberty County. This was, you could call it the transportation hub of the county, because this was the place you would have to go through to get to Bristol, which is the county seat, and it had the first graded road in the county, and it went from here to Bristol. And now there's a few interesting things to see here. There's this store on the corner, and actually the guy who owned the store saw me filming and asked me what I was doing. It's kind of a common thing through Liberty County so far, and asked me what I was doing, and I was telling him about, you know, looked like a neat little historical building to get a picture of, and told me that it was built in 1938 and kind of passed down through the years, and he was buying it. There's a post office right there, and there used to be several other buildings. There was a hotel in the town that people would stay in on their way to Bristol. And yeah, so a lot of history here in Telogia, even though, like I said, there's not a ton to see. Leaving Telogia, I'm heading basically like southeast into the National Forest area, and there might be a couple cemeteries down here. There might be a couple of camps, it says on the map. I don't really know what that is in terms of if it, you know, was anything significant historically. And also I don't know some of the roads. Right now the road's fine, but to get over to kind of the south part to where the next, you know, town is, where a community is, it's through some back roads, and I just don't know how good those roads will be. I guess we'll find out together. Might have to just turn around and come back this way. Obviously this is a good road, so yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what this part of Liberty County looks like. It looks very sparsely populated, just like we like it. Drove back the long dirt road to Arnold Park, and I'm right here by the river that we started at earlier today, and good sign there, making sure to be safety aware as you're floating down the river. Things I'm learning so far: I'm not from Florida, I'm from Kansas, and grew up in Ohio, and the back roads here are very sandy. A lot of the, you know, you get to places like Kansas where it's more dirt, gravel, and Oklahoma, and, you know, it's red dirt, and Texas and some of those places. And here it's like very sandy. Makes sense with Florida. Also, a lot of churches and cemeteries, and just seems like churches all over the place. And then even down these back roads, you go to like a cemetery. I went to the Good Hope Cemetery, and there's a church there, an old church. And so pretty interesting that at least there's some history there of some type of a community. But yeah, so it's really beautiful right here along the river. I'm the only one back here. It's a in and out road that's a couple miles long, so probably doesn't get too many visitors. The Florida Scenic Trail goes through there. As I'm coming down the road on my map, this is where it says Poplar Camp is, and there's really nothing here except for some really beautiful trees. Obviously it's the National Forest. Maybe there's a camp somewhere, but there's no signs of anything here. Gonna head back that direction. So I'm right there at Poplar Camp. That's basically we're at the end of the county. There's some roads, but not too much. There's some different camps along the river, but anything on my map I'm interested in, like East Camp, Twin Pole, Owens Bridge, and that takes me over to Sumatra. So I'm gonna at least try to find my way through those. I'm not sure what kind of roads these will be like, but it'll be fun to find out. So this is called Twin Pole, and I found a restroom. I think maybe this is a campsite. There's the first thing I've seen as I've gone on the National Forest Road here. It's been a good road up until now. We'll see how far we can take this. It's a little muddy and I don't have four-wheel drive on this vehicle, so I'm not sure how far we'll be able to make it down this road. And I'm pretty sure I just found the end of where I'm gonna be driving. What do you think? Let's turn around. This road isn't much better in terms of how bumpy it is, but it's not as wet. So, I don't know. The other road was called National Forest Road, so I thought that might be a better road than this one. But it looks like this one's a little better. We're trying to make it down to Owens Bridge, at least what it says on the map, Owens Bridge. And then that's on the south, basically right on the south border of the county almost. So that's where we're trying to head. Hopefully we can get there. That was the road we were trying to go down before that we turned around. Don't know if it'll get any better, but this is the way to Owens Bridge. So I came from that direction, and this is the intersection for Owens Bridge. Doesn't look good. This is the way I'm supposed to go. What do you think? Guess we'll try. Okay, not going anywhere. So I got turned around here, and obviously this used to be a road, and maybe there used to be an Owens Bridge right here. There's some wood. I don't know if it's part of the bridge or anything, but all right, we're gonna have to alter the route again. So I went just south of where I was and went down that road. Came down, there's another, you can see there was a bridge maybe. At least there's guardrails there. I'm guessing that there used to be a bridge of some sort and it just wasn't used very much. Well, we gotta head back north and around, see if we can find another way. Okay, let's check out the next road. Might have to go all the way back to the beginning because this next road is called Boatwright Road. Not sure if it's going to be good enough. I don't know if you saw when I drove in, but there is a bridge, obviously out of commission. The way the road was deteriorating, I had a feeling that there was not going to be a good bridge to cross, and I saw that we were going to have to cross the river at some point. So I've got to go all the way back to where it said Twin Pole, I believe, and then head west from there. So we're going to get there eventually, trying to get down to where it says Fort Gadsen and Sumatra, I think is the name of the town. Hopefully we can get there by the time it gets dark. I'm about back to where I started a couple hours ago. And so, you know, it was kind of a fun little adventure there to go, man, it is rough, to go and see. And I saw that old bridge. That was neat. But the road is so rough that it's really annoying after a while. And so I'm ready to get back connected to what was the better version of the sand/dirt road. So we're almost there, and then hopefully we'll get on towards the west of where we're trying to get to. So I cheated just a little bit, and I went actually just south of Liberty County line down into Franklin County to the Prospect Bluff Historic Site. And I just wanted to end the day in this historic area after a long day of exploring. This historic site was originally part of two different forts. It was built by the British in 1814 during the War of 1812. They allowed the members of the disbanded Corps of Colonial Marines, made up largely of fugitive slaves and Creek tribesmen, to occupy it after the British evacuated Florida in 1815. They deliberately left their ammunitions behind for them to use. And at that point, since the British had not named it, Americans started referring to it as Negro Fort, and it was destroyed in a river attack by U.S. forces in 1816. Then Fort Gadsen was built in 1818 within the former walls of the previous fort. It's been known as Prospect Bluff, British Post, Nichols Fort, Blount's Fort, Fort Blount, African Fort, and Fort Apalachicola. It was listed in the National Register of Historic Places and named a National Historic Landmark in 1972. And then it was acquired by the Apalachicola National Forest and has been managed by them since 1940. They started the process of memorializing the site in 1961, and you can see this is where they've done some of the work and have different things set up so you can learn about the fort. This was part of an old cemetery. It took me a while to find that, but there's a few remnants like that you can check. And the park was closed at this point, but I got some nice shots here to end the day. I'm running out of daylight, so that's going to be the end of part 1 of Liberty County. And I was hoping to get through more than I did, but I got a little bit lost. I didn't get lost, I just running into dead ends. But finishing up here at Fort Gadsen, which has a lot of history. I mean, a lot of history happened here. And so that was a good place to end. Some beautiful drone shots of the area, and you can understand why it's a national kind of historic landmark area. As I was leaving, I saw a couple people in there. I think they'd been camping or something in that area, and we ended up coming back to the parking lot at the same time and just got talking. And I was telling him where I was from and what I was doing, and he, you know, he said pretty simply, he's like, "So are you into history?" And I go, "Yeah, it's kind of why I'm here." And he gave me this, and it's a musket shot that he found out there. And you know there was a battle out there, and it was many of these out there, and I said, "Man, I don't want to take that." And he's like, "Oh, it's all right, I found some others." So there you go. What a way to end the day, as it seemed like I talked to someone at everywhere that I went. And Fort Gadsen, that was maybe the best one. Awesome. It's actually very close with Lafayette County. Lafayette County only has a couple hundred more than Liberty County, and the sun is kind of right in the weird place. This sun is right in the wrong spot. It's like a choo choo choo, dum, 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 dum. Let me turn before I talk some more.